Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Dynasty. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. I came across this video and I thought this is a must share because most times when we talk about what is going on and the racism that is happening to people that look like me, they are always very quick to tell you that you all talk about race so much and all that. But they will never turn around and ask themselves, what exactly are we doing that is making these people scream or that is making these people uncomfortable? That we need to settle it or we need to address it or we need to like look for a way to probably make their lives better and all that. No, they will never think that. They will never say that. They will never do that. Rather, they are always very quick to gaslight my own people, trying to let us feel like we are not good enough or we don't know what we are saying and the rest of it. White supremacy, it's really something that has eaten deep so hard in these people, but it is but they don't even want to admit that they have and they uphold that power, right? So I am also going to talk about this that it is actually time for Black people to sit up, right? This time around, Black people have to be spiritually, speaking, physically, and all of it emotionally, and all that already for this administration because this administration is coming with its own bag, right? And how are you going to achieve that? You really have to be very fit. A brother talked about it here and he really spoke amazingly well. It's time to get fit and it's time to know what you are supposed to do. You need to have some defense skills. It will help you. Let's get into this video.
You don't like being called racist in here. You hate when we use the word racist. You hate being attacked. You hate when we bring up race in everything. But then when we have an opportunity to show that we're not racist, you let me down every time. Every time. And I sit here and we talk about our families, we talk about our kids, we go on trips together, and then we talk about not funding state, not using our state dollars to go to white supremacy programs, and then we table it. You want to talk about some stuff? Let's talk about how they just took almost $7 million from the College of Charleston because they want to help Black kids. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about all the amendments that are in the state budget right now to defund all the Black programs that are going across the state. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about AP African American Studies that was banned from this state. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the attacks that you got going on people who don't look like you. Let's talk about it. Why do we continuously do this to our kids? Why? What is it that you're doing? What are you showing your kids? That public funds can go to white supremacy programs? We just had an issue at USC where all those kids felt scared. Matter of fact, we just had the Patriot Front on our steps last week. What are we doing here? Tell me what we're doing. Don't try to explain to me, well, I thought it was this, or nah, it's that. Nah, Jermaine, we want to see equality. We give you an opportunity every single time. And here we go again. I was in the back, I was ready to go just like y'all are. But here we go. Every single time you get an opportunity to show us something different, you show us who you are.
Now, 100%, it's going to have to come from people who look like me, because people who look like me determine who gets to control the social dynamic. Like, you can't ask a woman to do something about the existing social dynamic because the people who were in charge don't give a shit about her opinion. She's a woman. You can't ask Black or brown people to do anything about the social dynamic because the people who were in charge don't even recognize their fucking humanity. The only time that any criticism of the current order of things matters is whenever it comes from people who look like me. In 1865, right after the Civil War, Mississippi had a vagrancy law whenever they were trying to redefine slavery. They crafted a vagrancy law that said that that if you were found a vagrant, that you could be punished up to $50 fine and 10 days in jail. But in that same provision, Section 2, there is a spot that says if you're white and you're caught engaging with Black people, or specifically even treating Black people like they're equal, that could be punished by up to $200 fine and up to 6 months in jail. This is because the Black person didn't choose to be Black. You're making a choice to go against the social order. You know how we do things around here, and you're going out of your way to do shit your way. And you can argue, I'm doing things the right way. Yeah, we don't do the right thing around here. Well, technically, it's not illegal. I determine what's legal and what's not. And that's something y'all need to understand about the South. Now that y'all are all the South, y'all need to understand the lawlessness that you're dealing with. Everything that the Southern states did with the black codes, with Jim Crow, all of that was directly illegal. It was in direct opposition with the 14th, 15th Amendments. Like 13th Amendments. They don't care what the law is. You're not going to be able to legislate the South into doing the right thing. And whenever you look at MAGA, what you're looking at is neo-Confederates. You're looking at the old patriarchal South trying to craft an identity around that, a political identity around that. Those people can only be handled with, like, if you're capable of meeting them at the violence that they're comfortable with, or at least that they believe they're comfortable with. This is something that I need to really drive home to leftists. I need y'all to get comfortable with combat. Because if you're not, then you run into the situation that I ran into. Either you catch this, 50-year-old dude who's been in a couple scraps, and he's like, you can either shut up or you can go away. Well, I'm not going to do either. And if you want to fight about it, we can fight about it, especially if you're like me. Because whenever I say that you need to be prepared to do violence or meet violence, it's not so much that I just walk around here punching racists, or like I hear someone saying some racist shit and I go assault them. No, it's more about I want to impugn capitalism and imperialism, and people around me don't like that, especially if they're of a certain age, because a lot of these people have been allowed to develop apolitically where, I'm not really political. Not conscious of the fact that that's not really a liberty that me and my generation and people younger than me have. We don't have the luxury of not being into politics, but a lot of them are, and they don't like hearing it out in public. They don't like all of the things that come along with it. And then my response is, I don't give a fuck what you like. I'm going to talk about this shit regardless. And there ain't shit you can do about it. And whenever you bring that energy to people, there's a chance that it can escalate to violence, which is fine. Meet them there if that's what it comes to. But you're going to need to be able to do that if you're going to continue to control the social dynamic, if you're going to control the social forum and determine what gets talked about and how it gets talked about. Because they will try to overtalk you. They will just talk down to you, talk reckless. And if you can't do anything about it, you allow them to control the social dynamic. These worthless garbage, the children of the most depraved people who have ever walked the planet, dog. Like, you're going to have to, like, you're the enlightened one. You're going to have to go fight for what you know is right. And until white dudes who look like me really be making the energy weird as fuck out in public, really be making people take a side, then they're going to get to keep being casually racist in public. They're going to be able to keep making people uncomfortable. They're going to be able to intimidate people into silence whenever they're talking about shit that we need to talk about. Like, I don't want to hear about that shit. I don't give a fuck. The world's falling apart. You want to go about your business, go on working like nothing's happening. No, dog. You're indifferent to all of the shit that's happening. I'm indifferent to your fucking comfort. Plain as that. But again, to get where I'm at, you have to put in some work. Go, train, get in some combat situations, get punched in the face. You're not going to die. I promise. You will be able to keep fighting. You will be able to win. As always, bro. I appreciate y'all taking the time. Much love.
When white people come up in my comments upset with me talking about race and talking about the state of racism in this country and white supremacy, aka white delusion, whenever they get upset, I always want to tell them, and I should tell them, I just don't be having time, but I always want to tell them, y'all, you're not mad at black folk. You're mad at your parents and your grandparents and your great-great-great-great-grandparents all the way down to the founding fathers. You're mad at them because they didn't care enough about you to do the work and clean up the mess that they created through the genocide of the indigenous people here, through the attempted enslavement of the indigenous people here, and the actual enslavement, human trafficking, labor trafficking, and sex trafficking of Africans to this country and to this hemisphere and all over the globe. You're not mad at us. You're mad at them. Because they haven't cleaned up that mess, and they didn't care to clean up that mess because they were willing to enjoy their white privilege at the expense of future generations. And guess who those future generations are? It's you, Buki. It's you. It's you today in 2025.
One last thing I need to say is, Black people, you need to prepare yourself. I'm talking about mentally, physically, and spiritually. What we're seeing right now with this dictatorship is going to hurt Black and brown communities the most. And right now, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of white nationalist organizations that have been training for years for this particular moment. They really believe something is going to pop off, and they are ready. They are raising an army. What I need my people to do is be just as ready. I don't know if you have to start getting in martial arts. I don't know if you need to start losing weight, but you need to make sure that you are physically, mentally, and spiritually ready for what's about to happen. I would say if you can get into any taekwondo classes, jiu-jitsu, if you need to train for firearms, if you need to train in combat, you need to do it, or pay for your children to do it, or something, because what's going to be coming, if you are not prepared, you are going to be affected the most.
Racism is a broad scope, right? Because you can be racist towards a Latina, you could be racist towards a Black person, you could be racist towards a Middle Eastern person. So we're going to speak on anti-Blackness. A lot of Black people think that they hate anti-Blackness, but I'm not too sure that you do. Because a lot of us feel comfortable participating in that system still. We think because we can acknowledge that it exists, that that's all that's necessary. But reality states that a lot of us refuse to deconstruct the inherent anti-Blackness that a lot of us have, because it's a system that we all grew up in. And then that guides our choices. And while we think that we're using common sense or rationale, we're only honestly using white logic. And that shit is problematic as fuck. Because it's an entire system, as we know, right, to disenfranchise Black people. So unless we're going to get rid of all the white people, we technically don't have really the power to dismantle that system, because it would require white people to dismantle that system, which they're not going to do because they are incentivized to be anti-Black. But what we can do is stop participating in that shit. And that is a lot of power once we stop participating in that. And that's why I say y'all are problematic as fuck. Because that alone, not participating in, acknowledging your inherited anti-Blackness, deconstructing it, and then not participating in it in your everyday regular lives, it's like an act of rebellion that a lot of you are not prepared to do. For example, a lot of you grow up in the hood believing that the best opportunity to make it out of the hood is to be some type of musical artist and or athlete. That is anti-Black as fuck. White people will make you believe that your athletic abilities and or stereotyping yourself to be a degenerate or to look like a degenerate for the music industry, which is not truly the basis of your hip hop, the basis of your music and your culture, is the only way for you to be successful, because you're not smart enough to believe that. Says who? So a lot of you grow up acting as if you can't participate to the book, can't participate to your education, and you can't commit to it because it's just not going to get you far. Says who? Says them. Okay. Same with my ladies, wigs and weaves. Now, wigs and weaves are technically a part of our culture in a certain type of way, but it becomes a problem when we use it, for the ones that use it as an everyday tool, because we believe that our hair is too difficult. Your hair is not difficult, your hair is different. And if you weren't sitting there trying to get your hair to behave in the likes of other people, you would not have a problem maintaining and sustaining your beautiful hair. So like I said, versatility is one thing. Expressing yourself in artwork, the amazing styles that we have done with it, we cultivated, we curated, we made it popular and stuff like that. That is great. Tracks and all this other stuff, that is a part of our culture, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is a form of expression. But you yourself, Black women, are the exoticness that they try to pass on to other people. You are the only one Black woman that has the level of different hair and features and the complexity of skin tones, because you technically are the exotic one. You were never made to fit in. And when you sit there and try to perpetuate every single day life with it on because you wanted your hair to assimilate to something that it's not supposed to be, or you want to assimilate to a look that's not supposed to be because you think that it is more kept, or you want to be soft and you think that's the better look to go, that is where it's problematic. That is your anti-Blackness. Your look is not problematic. Your hair is not problematic. Everything is different because you are exotic. For those of us that think that when we get some money and we're going to move up out of the hood and we're going to put ourselves and our children in predominantly Caucasian spaces, why would you do that? because they made you think through Hollywood depiction that the hood entirely is nothing but an episode or what would you say? A shot out of, Menace to Society or Boys in the Hood. A lot of us grew up in the hood and never lived in the projects a day in our lives. A lot of us grew up in predominantly black neighborhoods, middle-class people. And we just made better choices in the street because we did not want to end down a certain path. There are people in all likes of communities that are going to make poor decisions and choices. But you think that the Caucasian community is better for your children because some of the poor decisions that they use are not entitled to carrying a pistol on their hip. But they make poor decisions that unalive themselves every single day because they have an allegiance to rugs and alcohol. And the funny thing is that in their Hollywood depictions of their communities, they tell us that. The girls are getting essayed and raped. The kids are having farm parties with all types of pills. The opioid crisis is still in existence. Fentanyl is now running through their communities like nothing because they are lacing situations. The children are hooked on alcoholic beverages from the time the early ages of junior high school. They're getting DUIs, driving and unaliving each other, drowning and stuff like that because of such being under alcohol influence. They have lack of supervision and they're always stressed out because they're actually not that smart. Yet you think that putting your child in predominantly white schools is going to give them a better education. How? Do we not have the same white educators in our neighborhoods, unfortunately, because they are predominantly most educators in the entire country that they do in theirs? What's the difference? Now, they may have more resources because the funding may go there, so you have more access to amenities. And I got that from Grits and Eggs podcast, episode 54, I believe, where he's absolutely correct, which made me think about this. But that doesn't mean that your child is benefiting in any type of way. You are putting your child through a mental torture and even possibly a physical torture because you are teaching your child that it is okay to be isolated and viciously attacked consistently. And then if they want to stop the vicious attack is to accept them. Our children are physically harmed when they think that they are friends with these people. They come up missing. Your children get hooked into an area in life that is unnecessary, but you think that you're doing the best thing for your doing, but you made it out of the hood, so what was the difference? I grew up in El Barrio, Harlem, New York. They got a book on my neighborhood. I never lived in a project building a day in my life. I lived in a gated community. A gated condominium buildings that went from one block to another block, from one avenue to another avenue, surrounded by a gate that needed a passcode and a key, that had a park, a community room, and a garage and laundry rooms attachments in the community, in that small gated block of community. What's the problem? Tenement buildings. Project buildings wasn't the only one. But yes, there is a scarcity mindset because the hood is constructed in making us impoverished down here. But that doesn't mean majority of us are choosing or making the choices to live a life of crime. So it's just like, what makes you think that? You say, oh, I have a lot of money. That's why I had to move out of the hood because I put myself at risk as being a target. Rich people are targeted every single day. First of all, a lot of you are not in the 1%. So you're moving into those suburbs anyway, and you're not still living that life. But really what it is that you know that white people see that if you live in these certain neighborhoods and you can afford these certain areas, that means you're of status. That means you're somebody important. That means you're still looking for white validation. Why does it matter? We got 1%ers, athletes, celebrities, well-known names, places that are robbed every single day, and they are miles and miles away from civilization. How does that happen? They too are under lock and key, gated and guarded communities. And you think that you don't have the ability to get attacked, assaulted, or robbed and stuff like that in those communities as well? Make it make sense. You think that you're teaching your child how the real world is going to work, and if she's never put around in those spaces, or he or she's never put in those spaces with them Caucasian people, that they're not going to know how to operate. They're not going to know the proper mannerisms of how to deal with them. But since when? Again, that's anti-black. Because what makes you think that you're not learning proper mannerisms in the communities that you grew up in? What makes you think that we don't have any run-ins and we don't realize how to work with them? Because if we're not dealing with them as our educators, they're in our communities as law enforcement, they're our jobs and our bosses, and we teach our children based off of what we know because we have to survive. So what makes you think it is necessary to commit your child to that level of mental instability and torture and isolation and discrimination and target practice on them? It makes no sense, but we refuse to deconstruct our inherent anti-blackness every single day. And you think that you have a problem with it when actually you're
This is all I got from this video, and shout out to them. I mean, when the last lady started talking at some point, or when she started, I was like, what is going on? And then she continued. And yeah, I really do hope that we are mentally ready for so many things because, like the other brother said that, and yesterday, Taekwondo really came to my mind when I saw that video of the Hispanic or Latino boy doing something to the black young lady. And one thing that came to my mind was that, you know what? I think it's time for we parents to, like, make sure that your child learn, especially that kind of skill, because it is really very helpful. So while the brother was talking about how we really need to be mentally, spiritually, and all physically ready for this administration and all that, I think it is really very right. The reality is that I don't know how, we all already know that the system has actually been designed to make people that look like me frustrated, feel bad, and make you feel like you are not doing enough, or you are not working enough, or you are not good enough. But one thing I want you to know that you are more than enough, you are good enough, you are doing all you could or all you can to make sure that you arrive at some certain stage of your life. And to the lady also who was talking about how some black women probably need to make their hair this, need to make their black hair is not hard to maintain and all that. I think I am going to leave that part and let you people talk on it, right? Because I feel like, I mean, black hair is not easy to maintain. I know what I am saying. I also have one, right? And it's in kind of hard. But I have a very sensitive scalp that no matter what you do, no matter how you try to comb, I can't even comb my hair, right? I don't even let people touch my hair because it is extremely very painful. Some people are also going through the same thing. Maybe the best they can do is to straighten the hair or do something to the hair just to protect it. At the point when I got to my life and I said, I think I wanted to completely cut my hair off. I was like, okay, maybe I can make let me have locks. And I think this is the only hair that has given me peace of mind since I made it. And also, I still have problem when it is time for me to retwist it because I am literally, I cry when they are touching the hair. Our hair could really be kind of hard to maintain. It's okay to accept that some certain things can sometimes be challenging and all that. When she talked about anti-blackness and all that runs in black community and how we need to reconstruct also to for the betterment of ourselves and all that. She absolutely nailed it and she also did a great job. I mean, I love the way she also spoke, right? And now let me know what you all think in the comment section. And yeah, you all are free to make your own suggestion. I appreciate you all and I will see you all in my next video. Bye for now.